Welcome, Internet, to the PixelPlay Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast where we get together to talk about all things video games. I am one of your co-hosts, Kaylan, aka Catastrophe, joined as always by my co-hosts Adam at CS Radical and Chris at Gin and Chris. We post episodes every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time wherever you get your podcasts, or you can see our lovely faces as we do this on YouTube or on Spotify. If you want more content than that, you can find us on Fridays where we do a little show called Side Quest, where we just jump into a smaller little topic that maybe doesn't make it for the full show. And Adam every Monday comes to us with a random retro, which is him going into a random ROM and playing it for 15 minutes and giving his quick review on that. If you want to be part of the show, if you want to interact with fellow guests, we have a Discord and a whole social media team on linktr.ee/PixelPlay Podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about the games to come in 2024. We're going to go through, talk about the games that we're excited for, games that should be on your radar, and maybe what we think has the potential for being Game of the Year for 2024. With that being said, gentlemen, how are you guys doing this week?
Disappointed because Adam had his glasses off and then he put them on and took them back off. I was going to do that skit where I'm like, what, Adam, where'd you go? Who's this other person here? But you were also doing the intro to the show, and it would have
I'm doing the
completely
Tobey Maguire
ruined it.
bit, though. I'm doing like the glasses on, glasses off thing.
You're
It always
Spider-Man.
It always bothered me that nobody put the fact that Clark Kent and Superman were the same person. The only difference was he's wearing glasses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, all it takes is just one piece on a disguise. You don't actually need to put that much work in. People are dumb and they don't notice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just the glasses. That's all you need.
For those of you who are watching the video, just to let you know, this is still Adam. I know his glasses are off and he doesn't look like himself, but it is still Adam. We can confirm.
I'm still an idiot. Last of Us 2 is still a really, really boring game, so.
Adam, where'd you go? Where'd you go?
Nothing's changed.
What have you guys been up to? What have you guys been playing this week?
Well, I will say what changes. I forgot to mention it before we started recording. Retro Rando is not going to be Mondays every week anymore until I can kind of get my scheduling right, because weekends just don't seem to be available when I usually record. Also, I'm probably going to look into doing something different on the side too, because I think having another really, really long video on the channel doesn't always translate well, so I'm trying to figure out something I can do that maybe would be shorter. So I'm looking at something. Retro Rando is still something I plan on keeping doing, but just sporadically. It won't be like a time thing anymore.
It'll be a special.
So don't assume anything showing up Mondays anymore, because I can never guarantee that, and I've stopped trying to. Because time is weird in the summer, apparently. Every time I think I have time, I don't.
You got those 2 months. You got to make the use of it. But like, you couldn't have told me earlier. You've made me a liar in front of all of our listeners.
You know, it was funnier that way. As soon as you said it, I'm like, you know what? It's funnier this way if I just let him cook.
I meant to tell him something. What was I supposed to? Oh, that's right.
Well, I'm sorry. I might as well slowly just, pivot into this thing, because you had something that you really needed me to have queued up on YouTube just in case for this. So
this is just funny. I want to bring this to your attention. This is just like a little extracurricular, something funny. I was going through and I was looking for a demo of the new Prince of Persia game, and when I was going through the demos, I found this game. Which, Adam, can you pull it up on the screen?
Yeah, I'll give context for those who are listening to audio. So the video, what was it called? Like Potato Sack Racing Simulator 2024?
It is.
And,
I have no idea what this is.
All I can explain to those who are listening to this on audio, basically, it's like if Newgrounds just decided to make a simulator game in 2024, and that's probably about what you can figure it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Newgrounds meets like Strong Bad kind of vibes.
Yeah, what is happening?
This is a game available on the PlayStation Network right now that you can spend real money on.
But how much?
I'd say I'm surprised, but given the amount of stuff, whenever I once in a blue moon go on the PlayStation Store and see what's coming up in either coming soon or what's new, there's always like games for $5-10 that I go, you shouldn't probably be here.
Now, Chris, you're watching this. Adam, you may have already seen this, so I'll throw it to both of you if neither of you have seen it. How much would you pay for something of this quality? This Game of the Year contender. What do you think? We're gonna say, Price is Right, not going over. How much would you pay for this game?
I mean, in truth, like...
In truth, zero. But I can answer this question for Chris. Technically zero, because he's really just going to get it from a Humble Bundle because of something else.
Yeah, wait till it comes to Game Pass. No,
how much do you think this is going for the PlayStation Network?
Yeah, like how much I think it would go for. Like this had better be $5.
This is $6.99.
$26.99. It costs more than Balatro.
No, this cannot be more than my beloved Balatro.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm on the PlayStation Network. Canadian $26.99. Add to cart.
There's
also a digital deluxe mega chat edition for $36.
It comes with the digital art book and the soundtrack, right? Like, what is that?
It Kaylan, comes with the I dare you to buy this and review it.
You know what? If we start a Patreon and we get this funded, I will review this game.
Yeah.
So just for your confirmation, the digital deluxe mega chat edition comes with full game, a set of 9 PSN avatars, and a skater mode.
Because that's what it needs.
A skater.
Tony Hawk's potato sack skater.
But don't worry, there's a demo. You don't have to risk it all. You can download the demo.
Oh yeah, try before you buy. Of course.
Of course. That should be the greatest game. I'm gonna go on Metacritic later.
You know what? We should download this. Should be side quest next week. We just download the demo and play it.
Yeah, that could be fun. That actually could be fun.
You know, it is an idea that I've always thought about, is just going on and playing random. I used to do that on my individual channel, and good lord, you can find some diamonds in the rough. You can find some real shit too.
Oh, just to warn you, there is strong sexual themes. I'm looking at this. I don't want strong sexual themes from any of these people on the cover.
No, I don't understand how it plays into any of what we saw in that video. I don't get it.
This is a game where the ratings are across the board. 66% give this 5 stars. 28% give this 1 star. If you go either way.
I'm waiting until next week's podcast when it's like, hey, everybody, what you been playing? Kaylan's like, Potato Sack Racing Simulator 2024. It was
I like how it's also 2024 to
2023.
imply that there's going to be a 2025.
I can't get past the strong sexual themes in this, but you know.
Say strong, just sexual.
Well, okay, well, fine. Well, I'm still going to pivot anyway. So speaking of strong sexual scenes, I'll talk about what I've been playing.
Wait a minute.
So I finally did the thing. I got Trails Through Daybreak, so I'm back to being my weeb JRPG self. Everything's fine in the world again. This is how you know that even with the glasses off, it's still me. Because I'm still playing my weeb shit. So it is now, oh my god, I'm trying to, okay, do the match. 3 Sky games, 2 zeros. So this is the 11th game in the entire franchise. It's 4th arc. And it's pretty fucking good. I'm not gonna lie. It's I'm like maybe 6 hours in, but it's already got my attention. Like again, Chris, I mean, you've played a little bit of Sky 1 and 2, so you got a sense of like how it starts to build the world around it.
Oh yeah.
And because you've played Sky enough to know being in Liberl, I'm now dealing in Calvard, which, as a lot of people have played through the series, has always been like an enemy nation most of the time in these games. Calvard's always been like the war nation that everybody's been fighting against. Whereas, yeah, of course, Kaylan knows.
Doesn't everyone?
So getting an actual run in this nation now is so interesting from my point of view, being somebody who's played all 3 of the arcs and has been hearing so much about this place for so long. In the same way that, like, I was excited when there was a Northern War anime for Northumbria, but then that anime sucked ass and we don't talk about it. But I digress. So the game for Trails Through Daybreak is starting to take a much different direction now that we're, you know, getting towards the midway point of the PS5 range. They're starting to do some changes in the same way that Yakuza started to do their own JRPG stuff along with the beat 'em up fighting games that we expect. On top of that, I've made the joke that Trails is now finally reached the PS4 age in terms of graphics. It's finally caught up to the generation before. Because here's the thing about most Falcom games, graphically, the budget does not go to the graphics. They are always at least 1 generation behind with how the games look, but it doesn't matter because
flip phone.
Again, it goes to world building and it goes to story. And yes, they do have flip phones, and the flip phones are how you have your abilities. It's like Materia, but in your phone. It's an app. I don't know how shit works, but they've definitely pulled out a much more streamlined version of the game. It's no longer just turn-based. Now you can play it as just turn-based. I don't know if there's a point where it forces you into one or the other. There are battles where you'll start turn-based, but there's always the option to go into essentially a beat-em-up mode, which you can kind of use either for lower-leveled enemies so you're not wasting nearly as much time, or if there's like one enemy on the field instead of, having to go turn after turn. You can just go wail on it for a bit. And there's also advantages to doing that too, where if you do a special attack after hitting enough hits on the beat 'em up mode, you can stun them. And if you immediately put yourself into the turn-based mode, you get bonuses. You could put some status effects on them. You could get some damage boosts for your next turn. Like there are quirks to doing both. So I appreciate that they've given a reason to do one or the other. It doesn't have to be just sticking to one side. And it also kind of keeps the gameplay a little more fresh instead of, obviously doing the same thing over and over and over again. Now, being as early in the game as I am so far, I haven't really gotten the chance to go deep enough in it to really see like what that actually goes with now. But as it stands, like I was worried about it. I think I even might have mentioned on the show that I was worried about, the game making a transition to doing a little bit more than just turn-based combat. And so far, it's not amazing. Like it's not like, Assassin's Creed or, a Dark Souls level, third-person combat, but for what it's doing, it's serviceable. And again, like most people, like Trails has a decent combat system in their games, but realistically, the crux of what makes these games so good is their world building and storytelling. So if the combat was just okay, I'm still fine with it, and it's more just, going around and just enveloping myself in the world. And the same thing happened again. NPCs already have my attention. I'm curious to see how they evolve as time goes on. The characters they've introduced so far, while the main character is basically Squall Leonhart with blue hair, I'm still in for it. The quirky cast of characters that you get, you have, for some reason, a 13-year-old just prodigy of an assassin that is just, just tiny-ass fucking little girl that can just, like slit your throat at breakneck speed, because, of course, there's always got to be that one. So, every cliche in the book has already started to happen. And I'm just waiting to see how much deeper it gets. I'm not far enough in the game to really make like a full-on opinion on how the story is yet, but like they're just introducing the world. I don't even really know like what our enemy is at this point. We're just slowly getting into this mysterious artifact that we found and trying to figure out what the hell's going on with it. But I know how Trails game works. It seems fine on the surface, but then there's going to be a nationwide war that you're trying to avoid, terrorist plots back and forth, government officials corrupt as hell trying to take over everything, and somehow during all of that, there's some crazy occult god that's trying to take over the entire planet and destroy it. That's how it always is. I know that's where it's going to go. I just don't know how we're going to get there yet, but I'm waiting for it. But either way, I'm enjoying what I've gotten with it so far. I'm like I said, 6-7 hours in, which is really nothing in this game. So I'm just happy to be back into it. And apparently localization is getting faster because we're expecting the next one to actually be out early next year, which is way faster than usual for them. So we might almost be on par with Japan, which has not happened in a long time. And people who have grown up with the series know some of these games took fucking forever to localize. Sky 3 needed, quite frankly, a miracle, and the Trails to Zero and Azure games basically were like almost 10 years before they released out here, whereas Cold Steel was like maybe a couple of years between each. So we're finally catching up. It's almost like actually like a proper JRPG series that's, getting released in both countries at the same time. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen someday. But until then, I'll deal with it. I'll wait till the next one gets localized. It's fine. I'll live. It's okay. It's not like I have another bunch of stuff in my backlog. And for Chris's sake, maybe we shouldn't go that fast because he's still got like 10 more games to beat.
I was going to say, speaking of backlog, Chris, what have you been playing?
Well, I was going to say, if there's 11 frickin' Trails games and I've beaten one, I've got a ways to frickin' go.
Yeah,
I have the second one installed. I'm so
and
excited.
You want to go with Yakuza. So, and you're playing Kingdom Hearts, you dumb son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Let me just commit to 3 ridiculously long JRPGs.
And the best part of all is what I've been playing this week is not a single one of those franchises.
Of course not, because you probably played some retro games on your Steam Deck.
No, actually, it's not.
He's playing Balatro.
It's also I've had to take myself away from Balatro. It's more of an addiction right now that I'm like, maybe I should sleep and blink. Maybe those two things are important. I've actually been playing 3 games this week because I haven't been just like doing one. But Adam, it's very similar to your weebness. It's slight weeb and all JRPG. Yes, I am currently playing 3 JRPGs all at the same time.
Good.
I am ridiculous.
Good. Make Kaylan suffer through this intro.
I'm surrounded by weebs right now.
No, you're not. You're on the left side of the screen. You're only like corralled to a corner. You're not surrounded. You're not. If you were in the middle, you could make a case.
You're at the edge of a party that you don't want to be at.
You can leave at any time.
My mom said I had to go.
I
Don't
have
hang out with those weeps.
I
It'll
have
do you good.
food in the oven.
So I don't have too much to say about like a specific game here. I'll just kind of mention the 3 of them. I've talked a little bit about all 3, I think, on the podcast. The most weeb of them all is Fire Emblem Engage. Playing that on the Switch. I love that game. I'm on like chapter 9 out of 20 something. It's so much better than Fire Emblem Three Houses. I liked Three Houses. I just didn't realize how much better this one is. Three Houses had like a forced social system where you always went back to the school and you had to do classes to upgrade stats for characters and stuff like that. Here, when you finish a battle, you get to just actually go to the world map. And it's kind of like Super Mario World where it's just points on the map and you move. But each point is a new chapter in the game. So when you move from one castle to one forest, you're going from chapter 8 to chapter 9. So you get to just like go that quickly after each battle and each like bit of story to the next part. And every chapter is the same where there's a cutscene in the beginning and then a big battle and then a cutscene, and then you can move on to the next chapter. If you really like the social things, when you're on the world map, you can actually go back to the home base, it's called. It's like an island in the sky because the main character is a dragon. Of course she is. But you can go back to like your home base and socialize. They have a tea house that you can sit with characters and build stats. You can go... The game has the emblem rings, which pulls in characters from previous games. You can go back and polish the rings to build your bond with the ghost living in that ring from a previous game. You can go and change outfits and customize characters. Like, you can do all this stuff. Or if you're like me right now and you're like, fuck that, I don't want to do all that, I just really like the story, you're just on this beautiful world map, which is all like 3D and stuff, which is really cool. Considering you don't get to even explore it, it's just there to show going to the next chapter. It's a really nice touch. But yeah, you can just go to the next chapter, which is what I've been doing. Because for me, the story and the battle mechanics are what keep you in this game. Kaylan, this game is very similar in a way to Advance Wars.
Yeah, it
it's
looks
like a grid system. The difference is, of course, that when you move and you get to do your action, like in Advance Wars, everything has like one action. Here, you can attack, merge with a ring ghost, and become stronger, magic item. Like, it gives you that, but it's still a grid system, just same idea. So I've been loving this. The characters are bright and bubbly. It's like lighthearted, even though it's like apparently the end of the world, or some shit. I don't know. It's a war. It's a bunch of stuff happening. It's very JRPG, obviously. But the battles are a lot of fun, and you actually get just to kind of focus on them. Three Houses was like very mundane color-wise and stuff, like a lot of brown and gray and stuff. This, like, the colors are on point and just in your face. Like, the main character has both blue and red hair. It's like you're a VTuber going to save the world as a dragon also.
Oh, given most of the character designs in this game, I don't even think like they just made Fire Emblem VTuber edition. Let's be real.
Oh, 100%. Like, a new character shows up and I'm like, how is that your outfit? You literally put heart stickers all over your half-naked body.
You're supposed to be a knight.
Yeah. Oh, just stab her in her exposed stomach. It's got nothing there. Just stab her. Okay, cool. Oh no, she put a heart sticker. Like, it's just the most ridiculous stuff. But the enemies are also just as ridiculous. There was like a girl enemy that just had a veil over her eyes, and like that was her armor. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll just not stab her in the eyes, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's very, very fun. I've been loving that. I've been playing Iodine Chronicles 100 Heroes or whatever that's called on Game Pass.
One of these days you'll get the name without even having to think about.
Yeah, Iodine
Chronicle 100 Heroes, yeah.
Yeah, okay, there we go. That game is amazing. I actually think that's my favorite of the JRPGs I'm playing right now. To me, it is Breath of Fire meets Suikoden, I guess. Like, it's just that. It's so colorful, and I think it's the reason I like it the most is I find it to be the most attractive, like 2D 2.5D HD whatever kind of game, like where it's pixelated characters but in a 3D world. I think it looks incredible. It is like the music's on point. It has an actual world map, which is extremely detailed and beautiful, which I wasn't expecting. The game is just so dang good. And it has an auto battle when you go into a battle. So when you hit lesser enemies and you're just grinding for levels, you don't have to sit there and choose 6 people's attacks. You hit auto, and then it goes, "Are you sure?" You hit yes, and it will just fight the battle for you, which I've been doing for all weaker characters, or weaker enemies that I've been fighting. The game is amazing. I love that it's on Game Pass because it's an expensive game. If it wasn't on Game Pass, and obviously, Adam, you talked about this a lot and everything, I was debating buying this so I could like play it on my Steam Deck and all that kind of stuff.
I would have paid full price for this game.
100%. Like it is. I'm only
like at this point, if I'm being
5
real,
hours
like
in?
it's literally neck and neck with Helldivers for my game of the year right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it is so good. Like it has a big open world, quote unquote, in sense of like a world map, without all the like BS you normally get with a open world. Like it's basically a JRPG from 2001 that just happens to have like a very nice art style in 2024.
Thankfully, it
so
doesn't end up feeling too difficult to traverse after a while, because pretty soon you'll get a person that will help you just fast travel to everything, so it's not so bad anymore. So like it's definitely a world map that once you've got the fast travel, like it like the size is just nothing to deal with anymore. Like obviously, if you haven't been anywhere before, you're getting to travel it and you get to see the cool sights coming up to that. But afterwards, like you need to go back, because you will go back to places a lot trying to recruit more characters into your party. But like it's no longer a matter of distance. So thankfully they've fixed that. So it's like an old game with all of the improvements that we have in games today.
Yes, and it feels so good. Like it's like comfort food, but also new. The game opens with like to all JRPG fans or something like that, and they meant it. Like this was made by a fan, not just a developer, but like a fan of old school JRPGs, with obviously enough modern twists to make it feel, like you said, Adam, up to date.
The developers of this game designed this game specifically to prove that JRPGs do not have to be these ridiculous, over-the-top, high-budget, graphical showcases that are basically shovelware to show how cool a movie would be if they got to make one. Because this game goes like, hey, do you remember back when you were 16 and JRPGs were the fucking coolest thing? This is what it was. And if you're Kaylan, no one cares about your opinion. Moving on.
Yeah, it is honestly like I'm loving it. I'm playing it on my Xbox, which is hooked up to the TV, so I do have to like walk away from it, obviously at points. But when I do, I obviously am playing Fire Emblem on my Switch, or my third game, which is Tactics Ogre Reborn, the remake or remaster of Tactics Ogre from Super Nintendo. Kaylan, very similar to what you're seeing in Fire Emblem, where it's like Advance Wars with the grid system. Same idea. It's just a Super Nintendo game, and it's more that 2.5 HD 3D again. I again don't have much to say about this except that I am loving it. I'd never played Tactics Ogre before, and I didn't realize the writing was so good in it. That's what is surprising me the most. It's got like a Game of Thrones kind of feel, where it's like a bunch of different I don't know if they're countries or just like, castles and regions or what it may be, but it's like a bunch of different countries at war. And you're one family, you're like some kids that are from this one town, part of a country that's kind of been attacked, and you end up getting recruited into your country's area to help out and do battles. And the battles are very, very, very good. Very much in the way of like, Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre, what I'm assuming what it was like back on Super Nintendo, and the remake it got after that. Because I think this is like its second or third remake. It's something ridiculous. But the battles are a lot of fun. But then when it actually comes to the voice acting, everything is voice acted in the game, which I wasn't expecting. And it's like really well written. It's actually like, oh dang, like this isn't like this doesn't have those JRPG tropes. This actually is more like a less intense Game of Thrones, going that way. Besides your main character, who's just like, I'm just happy to be here. Everybody else is like, no, screw that person. They're from the other thing. Don't trust them. Let's actually kill them in their sleep. Like, like that kind of stuff, which is very, very cool, considering, especially since it has the look of more of a Super Nintendo game, which is quite funny. But it is a lot of fun too. I've been playing this on Steam Deck. It runs like 90 frames per second or something ridiculous on there. Obviously, it's honestly like very fun, very addicting, super easy to grind levels because it's just like, again, like Fire Emblem where it's points on a map. Go to a place you've already been, you can just select battle and you do, like, they call it training. Basically, you just do battle after battle to level up characters. Yeah, I'm loving building out a team, having my characters. This feels a lot like the Fire Emblem game, just no weebness. I'm loving this too. So 3 JRPGs all going at the same time in my life, which is very exciting. I actually really like it.
Well, seeing this game too just makes me still I do not understand to this day why Square Enix has not made a new tactics game. It doesn't make any sense.
No idea.
Like, you can make a new tactics game, don't have to put a big graphical budget into it. You know, you can have like 10% of the budget that a Final Fantasy mainstay game would get. You put that bitch on Steam and you will sell it like fucking hotcakes.
Yeah, even if they just use this engine, because I know it doesn't look like much in the battles, like it's very zoomed out and stuff like that. But when it's all the cutscenes and everything in between, it's all these same sprites and design work and stuff, a lot more zoomed in, and it fits really, really well. Yeah. Again, it's not like modern graphics by any means or anything like that, but it is very, very pleasing to look at because they've done a lot of work with the sprite work and stuff like that.
When people always say, oh, but they have the DLFio Chronicle. Doesn't matter. It's not Final Fantasy Tactics. It's not on the box. Doesn't count.
No. They keep making Final Fantasy Tactics without making Final Fantasy Tactics. They've made Triangle Strategy, which was just Final Fantasy Tactics. They re-released this, which is Final Fantasy Tactics. Dio Field, whatever that's called. Like, they keep releasing Final Fantasy Tactics without just calling it that. Like, just make a Final Fantasy Tactics. They keep having
these new names for something. It's like, guys, you can just bullshit it as being a tactics game. Why are, like... For Square is usually so good at, like, or not, I shouldn't say good. Square loves to use their own names to just sell copies of a game that they know sucks anyway. So, like, why wouldn't they just throw tactics on any sort of, like, tactics game they make? And they're just like, nah, we're going to call it something else now. It's just like, you know, we got to keep confusing people with names these days.
They can only name it Final Fantasy if it kind of sucks. That's why. That's their new
You know what?
rule.
That's a fair point. I've seen the reviews for DLFio Chronicles and for, Triangle Strategy. They're both actually pretty good. So you know what? Final Fantasy is the wrong label for it.
Yeah, they put it on there, would have had 2 out of 10 stars less. 100%. Kaylan, what about you?
Unlike you, like nerds and weebs, I've actually been playing some cool games.
Kingdom Hearts.
No, I'm still working my way through Halo 2. It's good. Like, it's a good game. I don't know if the hype holds up as it used to. Like,
oh no.
Like, it's good. Like, it's an improvement over Halo 1. And once again, I'm not playing the multiplayer, so I'm just going by campaigns. And it's good. It still has that, like, it's a lot more streamlined in terms of like where to go. You don't have that like just endless hallway. I'm about halfway through the game. But oh my god. If you guys haven't played Halo in a while, the dialogue in this game is so cringeworthy. Like, it is the epitome of like 2000s, like, dude, bro. Like, I can quote some of the things like, hey, turn down the suck. And like, that's the kind of stuff that they say. Or there was one that was like, oh man, you're dumb and ugly. Like, it's like, who says this? And it's got the guy who played Tobias in Arrested Development as one of the soldiers who constantly gets dropped as a nameless NPC. So you constantly have him just chirping at like the Covenant. And I'm like, this is really weird. So
look, these kind of sci-fi shooters, they're never a dull moment for just really poor chirping. I still remember like Mass Effect Andromeda, like one of the first things that gets said is as you're shooting like these new enemies for the first time, you guys like, oh, that guy really didn't like that. Pause. Maybe because I shot him in the face, and you're just like, so clearly they never taught you how to speak when you were in the military, but I guess that makes sense. You are just supposed to be, you know, a meat shield. So
now I go one of two ways. Like, this dialogue is super like stupid and cringy, which is either like stupid and cringy, or someone's probably in the military is like, no, it's pretty much like that kind of dialogue on like the battlefield kind of stuff. Like
if you like, I just wish games would go into go ham on like the old like 80s action movie stuff and just go full on like ham it up with cheesy dialogue instead of cringe. Like there's a reason that clips from like old Arnold Schwarzenegger movies still work today because they're so stupid, but you can't not smile at them.
Nah, don't lose your head.
Remember when I said I would kill you last? I lied. That's all it is. And instead, they go out of their way to be like, we gotta make like a really funny chirp for this, and they try so hard, and it's like, guys, sometimes just do the simplest thing.
I would love to have an 80s style like first person shooter that just was an 80s action movie.
That would be fun.
We need two games. We need one where it is Arnold Schwarzenegger's likeness and they use him and it's basically an action movie with him, and one that's like a third person, like sort of in the style of like Sifu, but it's Jean-Claude Van Damme. We need one of those each and we're good. Yeah.
So I'm playing it. It's good and stuff. Like I feel like the story is just bonkers. There's something about like different profits, and I have no idea what's going on. I'm not going to tell you
that I paid much attention to what was going on with the Covenant story when it was that. I was just like, I have a gun, I see things to shoot, I shoot.
Yeah. So like it's fine, like it's not bad or anything like that, and like it's coming at a great pace. Like the gameplay is good, but it's just, and once again, it's hard because like they are so much like so many people copied it that what felt probably fresh and original at the time now feels old and stale because it's just been done to death. But in 2024, yeah, take it or leave it.
Kaylan,
that being said, I'm still going through on this journey.
Have you done the thing in a level where you hit select on the controller? I think it's select, and so that's the button to switch between the original graphics and these new graphics, and it's like an instant change where the entire game, like both engines are actually apparently running at the same time, like the old and the new. And I think it's just the select button. So next time you're in the game, just hit select and it'll like put it back to the old and you'll be like, oh my God, yep, Xbox. This is definitely the original Xbox.
The game looks absolutely amazing. Like I am not going to like fault it at that. Like it looks incredible, especially Halo 2. Like the improvements over Halo 1 is astronomical. So yeah, totally like justified in that perspective. So yeah. Other than that, I've been playing through. I got into Balatro as per after talking to Chris and all he said. I bit the bullet, liking it. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be, but it's got its hooks in it. Like the gameplay feels a little repetitive. I don't know how long I'm going to stay with it, and that's either going to be a detriment or it's going to be the reason why I keep coming back. So. We'll see there. And then I finished Advanced Wars 2, so now I'm done with Advanced Wars Rearmed. Yeah, so I liked it. It's more Advanced Wars 1, good and bad. Like, if you liked Advanced Wars 1, it's more of the same. There's nothing really new or refreshing. I didn't like the levels as much. Like, I felt like a lot of the I don't think there's any new characters. There's a couple new COs, but there's no new field troops.
Like units and stuff,
yeah. Like the only big change is that they came out with like missile launchers in the sense that you can go and capture a base and just drop a missile, which does like an area damage, but it only does like 3 at most. So it's kind of like and it can't wipe out characters. Like it only brings them down to a 1. So it's like okay, like it doesn't do enough.
Weak
new.
Missiles.
It very much feels like Advanced War 1 like DLC now. That's how I'd kind of put it. It doesn't feel new. It doesn't bring anything different to the table, aside from a couple COs, and it's a repeated story. So, I still think the game as a whole is worth the package. I don't know if I would recommend Advanced Wars 2 if it was a standalone sort of purchase, but as a whole, Advanced Wars Rearmed, okay.
It's done. It's done.
I'd give that a 4. Like I'd give that a 4 on our PixelPlay review.
The whole game or just Advanced Wars?
The whole Advanced. If I was doing the whole thing, I'd do if it was just Advanced Wars 2, I'd give it a 4. If I'm doing the whole game, like the whole package, I'd give it a 5. It's a solid game.
Yeah, I think that Advanced Wars 1 is definitely where the meat and potatoes is.
I mean, it's a solid game, and like the only detriment to Advanced Wars 2 is I've already seen it. Like,
yeah, it feels like you're just starting the same game over for the sake of doing it twice. Yeah, that's what I felt.
It would have been nice if there was like, hey, here's some new, here's a flamethrower trooper or something like that. Like, something different, something like
here's
I
Master
would've
Chief.
changed it. Anything like I don't know like sorry, there is one new one. I just don't want people coming. There's like a Neo tank, which is like a new tank you can get that's 2200 points. So it's like cool, but like I didn't use it that much. But I would have liked to have seen like I don't know, commandos or something like that, where it's like a small unit of 5 that move fast and strike fast, but like small group or something like that. Like there just need to be a little bit more in there.
I'm
Other than
assuming
that,
the conclusion to that game does not explain why these children are running these armies.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. There's actually more children now running these armies.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I love in that game how it would be like two COs would battle, and at the end it's like, oh, I'd spar with you anytime. It's like so many lives were lost.
Died.
People died. What do you mean you guys would do this again for fun?
Yeah.
This is tragic.
Yeah. So that's basically what I've been playing. But guys, what I really want to talk about is what games I will be playing this year. So I thought we could kind of go over. We're halfway through the year. First half of the year's done. Let's look ahead for what's coming down the pipe for the rest of the year. We are going to go through some of the major games that are coming out from here until the end of the year. Kind of talk about what's coming out, what we're excited for, what we think is going to be a hit, what we think is going to be a miss, what are contenders for game of the year, and maybe some games that are of interest to us.
And keep in mind, these are ones that are actually dated. We're not talking about ones that are like slated for 2024, which does not mean anything at this point.
Yeah, I need a committed date or I'm not in. So with that being said, let's jump in. So we actually have a couple games coming out imminently. So there's 2 games coming out next. Is it next week? No, 2 weeks from now, I think. Let me check. No, next week. So next Thursday, we have Flintlock coming out on basically all platforms. This is like the shooting sort of Souls light.
This is the one that you were talking about. That had your attention during the week.
Yeah, I figure if it's on Game Pass for free, why not?
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. It looks cool. And then on July 18th as well, Nintendo is coming out with the Nintendo World Championships NES edition. Do you guys have any interest in these games? Like any of these kind of appeal to you?
Flintlock, because it's on Game Pass, I feel like that is definitely its selling thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the World Champions thing on NES, I get that there's a market for it. That's more the people who long for the days of the World Champions NES used to do, or speedrunners, I'm assuming. This is something I would watch someone play for charity on Twitch. It is not something I would buy and play myself.
Yeah, I feel like the Nintendo World Championship is basically for the Mario Maker crowd. Like, that's who's going to be playing it. And I'm not that crowd.
No.
Which, speaking of, Chris, was that not like the best thing at GDQ this year? Was those troll levels that they were doing with Mario Maker?
Yeah, those were impossible. That was funny.
Adam, any games on that list or any that we missed that you're excited for in July?
July, I literally have nothing for July at this point. Now that Trails is out, July is a wash for me. I'm good. I've got my thing.
Yep. Then August is where we start getting a couple of the bigger games. Black Myth, Wukong. Is it Wukong? Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so.
Yeah. That one's coming out. That one has a lot of buzz, but I don't know. For me, it feels like that might be a very loud niche group. Like this seems like the FromSoft kind of crowd that's going to be praising this. Like I don't know.
I got friends that are super looking forward to that, and I go, you might be the only ones, like, because this seems like it's designed for a very small subset of people.
Yeah, a small, passionate fan base. And like, not to say like it's not going to be a good game, but it is not going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
And then a game that's for nobody is Concord, which is coming out August 23rd.
Look, it's on the list because Sony's going to try so fucking hard to push it.
So hard.
Yeah.
So hard. Yeah, do any of us have faith that this game is going to last?
Well, look.
No.
Do I have faith it's going to last? No. Do I think it might actually not be bad? I mean, based on what I've seen of it, as somebody who doesn't really have a horse in the race either way, like what I've seen of it, it's got a shot just because Overwatch has left such a void because it's failed so badly. It's not going to touch Valorant, so there's not really that going for it anymore. But I don't know. There's a spot for someone to kind of take Overwatch's spot if they want it. It's just a matter of can they.
I wonder if it'll have enough, just because, like, you think there's also, like, Ubisoft just put out theirs, like, it's like X Defiant or something like that.
Yeah, they're trying to compete with, like, Call of Duty.
Oh, that one's more of a Call of Duty?
Yeah, it's more of a Call of Duty. And apparently, from what I've heard, it's actually pretty good, and I've looked into potentially trying it, but I also remember how I don't care for multiplayer competitive anymore.
There could be enough people that just feel like getting into a new one of these games, so they'll get into it and they'll stick with it for a year kind of thing. I think it'll have enough people that it'll stay around for a little bit. I just don't think it's going to be like the one that takes over
every
all
one
the
of these
others
games
kind
is
of idea.
always going to be a case of like what Helldivers was, is they all will get their streamer attention. They will all get eyes early. It's a matter of if the mouth of word gets past it and if it also keeps doing what it's doing right. Because apart from like Helldivers, for example, with the region locking thing that got a lot of people to leave, was there ever a point where that game, where like Arrowhead was not constantly doing cool shit with it, like adding stuff to it, completely like bringing in more weapons and stuff, and they as a community were also making it a very fun place to be with all the memes and stuff that were progressing? There's a way to make a game like Concord work, but you have to stay on it. The problem is most studios do not have the budget nor the faculty to do so. And that's always the key with these, is you have to be able to stick with it. So if it doesn't do good right out of the gate, they're screwed, because you know the attention will not be put into it if there's no upside to doing so. If it does really, really well in the first month, they have a chance to at least build upon it. And that'll be where the real test begins. Because any game can get really popular for a month. The what's the new game that just came out? Not the Final Guardian, but it's the First Ascendant. And it's doing really, really well on Steam. But how long is it going to do really well on Steam? Because it's new. Yeah. It's not going to last. And from what I'm understanding, it probably won't go too much further after like its initial couple of months.
Well, it's like the same as like Outriders, right? Like that game came out and it had a bit. Yeah. Like you were playing even for a bit.
I was way into it until you realize once you scratch the surface and you realize there's not much underneath. That's it.
Yeah, that's the thing with these live services. They're not sprints, they're marathons, and like being the fastest out of the gate is not necessarily a good thing.
We'll see about that when Bungie releases Marathon.
For me, like this just seems like it's cool, but I feel like it reminds me of that old like quote from Seinfeld with like Bizarro World and like Elaine.
Oh, I think we just lost Kaylan.
Or
he's popped back. He's alive again.
Yeah, so it's like the episode of Seinfeld where like Elaine finds the other crew and George's like, "Can I come?" And they're like, "I'm sorry, we already have a George," and I feel like we already have a Concord. So like, I don't know what you bring to the table.
I mean,
we'll see.
You can always make the argument for any game that there's always something. Like, it finally took like how many tries for Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn to come in and actually dethrone Warcraft, to the point that everybody thought for the longest time, Warcraft was always going to be the big MMO. It was never going to change. It is now at the point that you can argue Final Fantasy XIV is the only big MMO anymore. Like, that's how much we've changed. So it's not to say it's not possible, but, you know, odds are you're probably not going to work, because how many MMORPGs did it take to finally dethrone Warcraft? It's going to be the same thing to dethrone a game like Valorant, or, well, what would have been Overwatch, until they decided that, hey, we don't like our customers anymore.
Yeah. And then August 30th, Star Wars Day. Star Wars Outlaws comes out. Cannot wait.
Metacritic will be at 50 or less, and then you're just going to enjoy your slop and take it. Nah.
Star Wars bump to the moon. It's going to be great.
I will say, like, I'm hoping obviously that it's good, because I would like to see Ubisoft actually put a game out there that isn't pure utter dog shit. But at the same time, like, every time I see articles about talking about, oh, this is going to be like an amazing open world, we want you guys to have so much to do in this, I'm like, that only just makes me think it's going to be another boring open world. Don't do that.
No, they're saying all the right things. They're saying Star Wars, and it's perfect.
I was going to say, that's all they're saying, and you're happy with it. Let's not kid ourselves here.
No, so like for me, like I'm excited because like it's in the time period of Star Wars that I like. It's in that original trilogy-esque era, which I like. They're coming out and being like, hey, it's a shorter game. It's like 30 to 50 hours. And I'm like, say no more. Like, I'm down for that. And like, I like the Ubisoft formula. Like, is it repetitive? Yeah, but like, we're getting a fresh skin on it. So it's not like it's just another Assassin's Creed or whatever.
Well, it's made by the Division I think that's where like there's a chance for it now, is because it's at least not another Far Cry or another Assassin's Creed.
Do I think this is going to be Game of the Year? Maybe. I'm biased, but like I don't think it's gonna this is not gonna be a masterpiece. Like I'm expecting a solid like 8, somewhere like in the low 8s.
Given the amount of games we've had so far. I mean, obviously, wait, was that Chris? Was that the episode that was just the two of us talking about the games?
Yes.
Okay, it was. I don't know if if it's game of the year potential, but given how quiet this year has been in comparison, there's probably a shot that it could if it's good enough.
I can see it getting the nomination. I don't know if it's gonna get like the award,
it might have like an award for like, I don't know, graphic like or something like that, but I don't see a world like, and this is more because of my own personal negative bias to Ubisoft. I don't think there's a world I may ever see a Ubisoft game win Game of the Year ever again, because I don't think that as long as Yves Guillemot is the head of Ubisoft, that they're ever going to have a game going in a direction that actually makes sense, because it seems like they are consistently going out of their way to make games that are not for gamers anymore.
The way I describe Ubisoft, and I was talking with a friend about this, and the way I describe Ubisoft is like McDonald's. Not good for me. It's not like amazing, but it is consistent
and overpriced,
and it is enjoyable. Like for me, like that's the way it is. Like I don't want to eat McDonald's every day. I'd get tired of it. I'd get sick of it. But like going to McDonald's once in a while, and like it's fun when I go. So like that's how I see Ubisoft. I don't want to play every Ubisoft game that comes out. I don't want to play exclusively Ubisoft, but every once in a while, I like my junk food, and I'm going to take it.
You know, that's a good point. Ubisoft is a lot like McDonald's. I never go there, but they always put one random thing on their menu that's just like, shit, I got to at least try that once. And that was the Parmesan bacon quarter pounder they put out recently, and I'm like, fuck.
Oh, that was so good. That was so good, right?
Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
It was really good.
That's Chris, another episode for one day. We just need like a Fat Boys episode where it's just us talking about just food that we gorge on.
I'm down for that. Chris, important question for you. Did you try the Parmesan quarter pounder?
I did not. I have not been to McDonald's in quite some time, actually.
It shows.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yes, of course it is. You're like the most healthy person on this podcast.
I want to go now, though. I might go at the end of the podcast.
What are your thoughts on like Star Wars Outlaws? Where do you think it's going to land? What's your hype level for that?
So two things. One, they did mention also in an article I read today, I don't know if it came out today or I'm just a day behind. Apparently the maps are going to be reasonably sized, where you on the scooter, you can go around the entire planet in like 4 minutes, every planet.
Perfect.
Something like that. They described it like 3 of the continents from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but obviously where you have a fast moving vehicle to move around it. So at no point will you feel overwhelmed by an individual planet, which I loved.
Nice.
And 2, my hype is huge because it was today that I realized it was coming out in August. Mind, it's an Ubisoft game. They're always like October. Like they never have.
Well, that's
an
what
August
Assassin's
game.
Creed Shadows is for.
Don't spoil. Don't give away what's coming.
Oh God, why nobody even needs to listen to that
show,
part now.
Kaylan, they're gamers. They know that that Assassin's Creed's coming. We're not surprising anybody with this.
Yeah.
One person in the comments right now just like, what? Oh my God, I can't believe they spoiled that one part. I had no idea.
Breaking news.
To be fair, somebody would do that just to be like, well, I did the thing there. You guys happy?
Someone will do it. Yeah, I didn't realize it was coming out in August. That just made me super excited. My birthday is first week of September. I've got now this and a couple other things that we'll talk about in September. But yeah, like a lot of things coming out all around that one time, which is bad for my backlog, but good for me. Really good for me.
Is there anything else we missed for August? Sorry.
Nope.
Not that I know of.
No. So August 30th just starts a flood of games coming out. Like September, the week of September, like the first week of September for me is like
both Xbox and PlayStation have some good shit.
They're firing on all cylinders. So September 5th, we get Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, which I'm excited for. I've never played a Chernobyl game, but I might get into this. Like I've played
the trailers for that game was
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
It looks cool.
I don't know if this is gonna be a day one for me because there's a bunch of other stuff that's coming up, but this is something that's on my radar to play at some point.
Maybe you should wait just in case, because last time you got really enthusiastic about a game that was sort of set in Russia-ish, it didn't go very well. Atomic Heart.
I'm tempering my expectations. My atomic broken heart. September 6th, we got Astrobot. Like that's a day one purchase for me. Like
that
I'm
is,
gonna be playing.
If there was ever a game on these lists that we're thinking like that could be a Game of the Year nominee, that's kind of the one that I've been leaning towards.
That is gonna be a Game of the Year nominee.
Yeah.
Like I would be shocked if that game doesn't turn out to be like really, really good. Just given how amazing the like the quick like tech demo that they did to launch with the console was.
Yeah. Have you guys gone into Astro's Playroom? Because they've actually done some stuff to prepare for it.
I've heard that they've done stuff, but I haven't gone into it.
Yeah. I was playing it with my son and like we got into it and like there's some new stuff. Like they got the PSVR 2 headset there now. They got the I forget what the heck it's called. That new controller, like the Dual Elite, whatever the heck.
Oh,
it's
the
called.
Edge.
The Edge, thank you. So they got those ones there, and they actually have like a little lab where you go in and you could go and pre-order Astrobot 2.
But is the portal in there?
I don't know if it is.
That's
I
just a
imagine-
damn shame if it isn't.
Anyways,
Apparently,
so
I saw a story actually recently that it actually is the best-selling accessory right now.
the
like in
portal, because
all
it's a fantastic device.
But think about that. None of us gave that thing a fighting chance. We all thought it was just going to be like, man, it might be serviceable at best.
And then I bought one.
And then you bought one. And headphones.
I
first.
shit on it for months and months and said, "Here's my money."
You are
Thanks
the
for the
poniest of
content.
Sony ponies.
I am.
That is true.
I'm not apologetic. Like, I'm not ashamed to say that. Like, I am the Sony pony.
Well, yeah, we know. You're buying Star Wars Outlaws, even though we all know it's going to be terrible.
What? No, we don't all know that. Don't throw me in that bucket. I'm buying that day one. That is a day one
Yeah.
purchase. Adam, you and I console share. You're playing that shit.
I mean, look, I don't have any reason not to. I'm not spending money on it.
Yeah. Eat your slop.
So,
No, you first.
so I'm
And
at a
you're like,
situation
okay.
where, like, you guys know how fast I play through games. So I'm at a situation where I'm gonna have Star Wars and I'm gonna have Astrobot, and I'm gonna have to be balancing it between both. I think I'm gonna play Astrobot with my kid.
I was about to
Like,
say,
my-
that's
yeah.
pretty easy for you. Yeah, you just play
Yeah,
one with your
that's
kid and then
him,
one when he falls
like,
asleep.
hey, yeah, I'll tell Jed, like, hey, you chill out. I got him for the day. We just gonna sit down here and play video games from sun up to sundown. He's gonna be like, Dad, can we go outside and see the sun? I'm like, nope. Welcome to gaming.
This is the sun. Look up in the game. Use the right joystick. See if you look up, there you go.
No.
There's
What
the
you do
sun.
is you just get a flashlight and you just keep turning it on him and be like, see, the sun's on you. Come on.
And then for me, I don't expect high things for this. I don't think this is gonna be one that sets the world on fire. But for me, September 9th, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 comes out.
Oh, that does look cool.
It
I mean,
looks
Warhammer
so
games
cool.
in general, just like there was a point for a while where I just had no interest, and now like there's been a steady stream where like, you know what, all these are interesting. Like I really love playing Dark Tide when that came out recently. I mean, I don't know if I'll get around to Space Marine 2, just given like just how much else there is out there, but like I'm glad that it's at a point now that I'm even considering them as an option, which I didn't used to do.
Yeah. Like the Warhammer universe is absolutely fantastic, like fascinating to me. Like I think it's really cool. I just don't have the time, money, or patience to get into that whole like I play Star Wars Legion, which is a simple, like simpler version of that game, but like Space
Oh yeah,
Marine's
the
always
physical
looked
part
cool.
of Warhammer, you will never catch me dead in that. No way.
Oh, I used to build it and play it, but like I was
Same.
poor and lived
If
40
I had
minutes
all
away
the
from
money
like
in
a
the
store.
world, I still wouldn't. It's just too deep a hole. I would never be able to get out of it, and I know how I am. Nope, I
Yeah.
would never start.
Oh, that's true. You'd be like way too in it. It's like you'd have a room in your place just dedicated to your figurines.
And
be
I
the one
already
that has,
know,
like, the
I have rooms that
dioramas.
are going to be in my place dedicated to other things. I'm not going to have enough rooms. I don't need that big a mansion, man.
I am in that hole with Star Wars Legion because they got me. Because once again, you slap Star Wars on it. Sure, I'll buy that Star Wars pregnancy test. I don't care. I don't need it.
It looks like a lightsaber.
So
It's
they're
just
your
Lando
ki-
Calrissian just doing like, "Ay."
So they're your kiss. I understand.
Pretty much. So, yeah. And then the last one I have on my list for the big ones is September 26th, Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
You know, the
Yeah.
game
This
one
that
I'm
I
very
willed
excited for.
into existence.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
did mention it.
Yeah. I kind of find it interesting. Like I'm really excited to see how this turns out. I hope it's good. I hope it's more creative and more open world than just there's one solution for everything and it's just like use the one thing that you have to open this. Like
It
I hope
it sounds like it's going to be a lot more,
I hope it does
do
help.
whatever you think
Yeah.
the solution can be.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a pile of beds. There you go. Solved.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm
I
excited
think
to
it's
see
going
how
to be
that
good.
turns out.
I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to give the same vibes like that Link's Awakening remake or whatever did. Same idea, just
Yep.
instead of hack and slash, a lot more like make things appear with the wand, which I'm into. I like it. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be cute and fun and bright and colorful and like just a fun time. I'm gonna love it.
I'm excited to see how that one turns out. Although I was thinking about in like the Legend of Zelda. I feel like they should have changed that one. This should have been like a
It should have been the Legend of Link.
The Legend of
Let's
Link.
not kid
Legend of Link,
ourselves.
right?
They failed on this.
Because
there's
people
always
see
the-
that and go like, wait, what?
It should have done the classic thing where it's you put the logo on it and then you suddenly have a marker scribble over Zelda and put Link in like really shitty handwriting.
No, it's we finally after like 40 years or 30 years have solved that problem that the main character of Legend of Zelda is now Zelda.
So
no
then
longer-
it's just
it's
so
no
then
longer
it's
her
called
legend.
the actual Legend of Zelda.
Yeah. Legend of Zelda, she gets up and actually does something.
Just the Zelda. Just
I mean,
take out
to be
Legend.
fair, she did before, but apparently they thought they should never expand on Sheik ever again.
That's true.
That was the real Legend of Zelda.
Anything else for September before we move on to October?
The only thing I can think of would be Wild Bastards, which for anybody who played Void Bastards, the really interesting like cell shaded first person shooter roguelite. They're doing a Wild West version of it, and it looks fucking cool.
Ooh.
Yeehaw.
I did not know that was coming out.
Yep. That is.
Was it in
that
the
is September
showcases?
12th.
It's probably the summer showcases, and I was overwhelmed with how many there
I
were.
don't think it was that. I think it was before that, if I'm not mistaken. But I also could be mixing my
interesting.
shit up.
Yeah, there was a lot. It
There's
was
a lot of
busy
things, okay?
There's a lot.
Speaking of a lot, hey, why don't we
October-
move on to October?
Moving on to October. So October 8th, we have Silent Hill 2. I'm not playing out Silent Hill 2.
No.
Like,
Oh, Chris is exclusively playing this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. With all the lights out and headphones.
October
No.
17th, Super Mario Party Jamboree.
I would get that, but I already just got Super Mario Party Superstars or whatever that one's
Yeah, we
called.
learned the other night
Yeah.
that all we really want to do is play the soccer game.
First of all,
I feel
yes.
like the issue is like we had that one Super Mario game that came out for the Switch, which is kind of like a dud because it was only like 4 games and there was no additions to it. And then it feels like we've gotten 2 Super Mario like Super
Parties?
Mario Party games like back to back in like what felt like a year or two. And like,
Yeah, but Nintendo fans eat their slop too, so.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I just feel like if you have one, you'd have to play a Mario Party game a lot where you're like,
Yeah.
it's so repetitive. Because there's so many mini games that it's just like, it takes a while to get there. No?
Also, to be
And here's
completely
the-
honest, like, oh, sorry, go ahead and finish your thought.
No,
Caleb.
go for it. Go for
I was
it.
just gonna say, like, Mario Party games to me, I don't even know, like, they must be getting made specifically for Japan because I don't even know how many people here in the West are really even playing it that much. Because let's be honest, like, how often do you have like, you know, enough people at your house? Like what we did on last weekend at Chris's place, like we don't do very often, so that doesn't warrant playing Mario Party. So like, you know, unless like apparently a lot of people are buying copies of Mario Party to play online, in which I don't think a lot of people are.
No, I don't think it's
Yeah,
like
like
an
if I'm playing
online.
Like,
online, I'm
I'm-
not playing Mario
I'm
Party.
genuinely wondering
No.
like why they're making them so quickly, because who's playing, like, unless it's the Japanese audience is going crazy with it still, like I just don't see what the point of it is out here. Not to say that
I mean, I
you
guess
shouldn't
it's-
have more games for fans, but I'm like, really, you needed one so soon?
I think
Yeah.
that like Chris makes a good point. Like once you have one Mario Party, you don't need another one unless you then become like that person who has all of them and you become a connoisseur. But then you're that kid who's like got all the Mario parties and no one wants to play with you because you know all the secrets, all the stuff. It's the same
Yeah.
problem with like Mortal Kombat. Once you play Mortal Kombat by yourself, you can't play Mortal Kombat with other people except other Mortal Kombat nerds. But I guess like the person that this is for really, it's not us. It's like for families, right? If you have mom and dad and like 2 kids, like you get Mario Party, like that's something you guys can do as a family.
Yeah, and then
So-
a new one comes out and they're like, whoa, the kids get all excited and it's like, cool, easy Christmas present.
Yeah, I just remember the last Mario Party, not like the one that was like the remake one, but the new one had a lot of bullshit in it that was very much made it like unbalanced and unfair. It's like, hey, get a second person who has like second dice, and it's like, okay, well you're not rolling double dice. I'm rolling singles. Like,
Yeah,
no wonder you're
That's-
smoking us.
that's why I went with the Superstars one that I picked up, because 1, it was all the classic stuff, and 2, it was controller only, no motion stuff, which I know
Yeah.
some of the other ones have had. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I don't trust a group of guys in their late 30s, early 40s to do motion controls in my house.
I also don't want to use my Joy-Cons for a bunch of like. I remember how many N64 controllers got destroyed with Mario Party.
Yeah,
Yeah, nobody wins.
no one.
Black Ops 6 comes out October 25th. I don't think any of us are huge Black Ops people.
I'm going to make
Oh,
a
I'm
hot
gonna play
take
it.
here. This might actually make nominee. Now, personally, I doubt it will, but my logic is that this is the first game that they're putting out on Game Pass with Call of Duty on it.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting the biggest the most eyes you're going to get in a long time on this game, because now everybody's going to get the chance to play it day one.
Mhm.
And given how much they seem to be putting a lot of work into their games again, or at least trying to try to get, you know, some recognition back on them, maybe this is the Call of Duty that they might have gone up to. I don't even know which of the developers are working on this one. If it's Sledgehammer, I think Treyarch, I think is the ones who usually do Black Ops. But I wouldn't be surprised if like at some point during the process of this game being made that they went up to like Treyarch or whoever's making this one and be like, "Hey guys, can we make sure we actually like put some real work into this time? Just a little bit more than usual." So who knows? Like I don't think it should, but like I think if there's any Call of Duty as a fighting chance of actually like sort of like getting in the good graces a little bit again, this should be the one because you're gonna have the most eyes on it this time.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people who like at some point liked Call of Duty coming back to this one. Yes, because it's on Game Pass, but also the presentation is just, it seems different. Like it actually seems like there's a really good campaign in the game.
Yeah,
It
I
seems-
think there's definitely a different vibe going into this one than like the last like how many years of it.
Yeah, with so many. I like Zombies is coming back. I know I'm gonna play probably with some of you guys and other people like some, Zombies, Call of Duty Zombies. Why the heck not? Like that's actually fun and everything. Good co-op experience. So yeah, I feel like just because it does seem to have a bit of different vibe and it's on Game Pass, I think this might be the best Call of Duty in many years kind of idea. I think it's like gonna win Game of the Year. I agree with Adam. It's like the best chance Call of Duty has
It's
had
a dark
since
horse to get a nomination,
PS3.
and that's largely also because it's such a quiet year that I think it could have a chance to squeak in there.
Yeah, I could see it squeaking in there. I could see it
It'll be interesting.
if it's as popular.
We didn't circle back, but I wanted to give a nod at that. I think Legend of Zelda is going to get nominated, and I think it probably has a really good shot of getting Game of the Year.
I would say, yeah, it's the Zelda / Nintendo bias.
If I'm being
too.
honest, I would be kind of pissed off if that wins Game of the Year, even if it is really good, just because I think that game has been done so many times that I don't feel like that would deserve that. But I'm also of a different
Zelda
opinion
this
on what constitutes it.
You can conjure a pile of beds as
And your
stairs.
Zelda.
And your Zelda.
Okay, well, if it's so good and it looks literally like Link's Awakening, why didn't the Link's Awakening game get a nominee?
Because it's not Tears of the Kingdom in 2D.
But I didn't say Tears of the Kingdom, I said Link's Awakening.
I know.
No, but the new one is Tears of the Kingdom in 2D.
Which we all love.
Sure.
It's where we've been
Anyways.
aiming for the whole time, Adam. We've been building
Everything's
to
been leading up to this moment.
this.
Anyways, searching back, Adam, you put on the list October 29th, Life is Strange Double Exposure coming out. You want to talk about that one a little bit?
I mean, look, it's just more Life is Strange. What do you want? If it wasn't for my backlog finally catching up with me, like I was starting to replay through True Colors again for a second time and loving that again, and I'm like, man, I'm so glad that this series at least came back after the really atrocious second one. I wonder what they're gonna do with the next one. And then out of nowhere, they came like, oh, we're doing a sequel to the original, and I went, oh, that's my favorite one, huh?
And you also put on there October 31st, No More Room in Hell 2.
At
That
least the
looks
early
cool.
access. I don't think like that won't constitute for a nominee, but like it is something that I'm definitely looking forward to because 8-player zombie co-op that feels like it's almost like Resident Evil-ish, like in terms of the remakes, but like it's multiplayer with permadeath. Yeah, I'm excited to see how that turns out.
Yeah.
I feel like they had a missed opportunity putting this on October 31st. And I know you're thinking like, Kaylan, why? Like they're putting like a spooky game on October 31st. That's the problem. It's the last day of spooky season. Nobody wants to play a spooky game on November 1st.
But
This
it's
should have
not
been
really
like,
a spoopy game. It's more just to be like, hey, you want to go bash some zombies in with your friends and then make fun of the person who dies first.
I'm just saying, you put this in like mid-October, like that's where you're gonna get more like traction. Like I think Silent Hill 2 putting out October 8th, like you've got a whole month of people being like, hey, I want to play a spooky game. Oh look, there's a new Silent Hill. I'm gonna play that. No one's gonna be November 2nd being like, hey, I feel like a spooky game. Let's go play No More Room in Hell.
That is true.
That's just me.
I can see that.
So they
I
should
can see
just.
that.
So what you're saying is they should just put it on November 1st, just to keep it quiet.
Something like that. Anything else for October before we move on to November?
Nah, not
All right.
really.
Nope.
November, a little bit quieter. There's still some stuff going on, but we're starting to get into the slum of the holidays. November 7th, we kick off with Mario and Luigi Brothership.
I mean,
Doesn't
those
do anything
games
for me.
are like, you're good like 7 or 8s at best. Like that's always what they've been. So
Yeah.
it's more like a complimentary piece.
Yep.
Yeah.
Adam, you put on the list on November 8th, Slitterhead. You want to talk about
Yeah,
that one a little bit?
people who finish Silent Hill 2, that's the next thing they'll be waiting for. It's just, it's another. I'm trying to remember what. Let me just quickly Google what the developer is for this game because I know there's a reason that it's also like a bit interesting for people to.
Told you. October 31st, bad time for No More Room in Hell 2. Adam literally just said that's the second game after people finish Silent Hill.
That's true.
I think this is a brand new game from them. Who is this guy though? Oh, he was the creator of Silent. That's why it's creator of Silent Hill with his new studio. So if you're playing the Silent Hill 2 remake, you're basically warming up for his new game.
So I'm not playing this.
No.
Yes, you are. You know what? We keep mentioning how 250 subs, we're finally doing a serial episode. Hey guys, if we get to 1,000 subs by the time Silent Hill 2 comes out, we're making Chris play it. I'll buy the game for him and make him play it on stream.
1,000 subs? Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah, if we get to 1,000 subs before Silent Hill 2, we'll make him play it.
Adam, you start putting a thermometer on the bottom with all of our stretch goals.
Nah, if you're a real fan, you tell all your friends anyway.
Fair enough.
Not to mention that we just remind them every episode anyway what we keep wanting
Pretty
to do.
much. So the serial episode. I feel like we want to do the serial episode now more than the listeners.
Hey, it's only
actually do.
33 more subs away.
There you go.
That is true.
Get there.
Look, just make 33 dummy accounts person who's listening to this episode and just get us there. It's done.
Yeah, just get some bots. We're not we're not proud.
We're not proud.
A sub's a sub. And if you're listening to us right now, you're on YouTube and you haven't subbed yet, please do it. It really helps us out. We don't want to have to rely on bots. Our growth is organic.
Just please get just shy of 1,000 before Silent Hill 2 comes out.
Yeah, our
If we get
our
shy
growth's
of it, I will make some
organically
dummy accounts.
slow.
I'm gonna make like accounts and just be like, Chris plays Silent Hill. Subscribe.
Totally not Kaylan says.
Yeah. November 14th, we have Dragon Quest 3. Adam, I feel like this is one that is definitely on your radar. Chris, this is one I'm sure will sit in your backlog.
I almost pre-ordered it yesterday. And then I was like, why am I doing that? I don't need to buy it now. I can wait.
Remember, no pre-orders.
It was the Steam summer sale. I just wanted to buy something and I bought everything I needed.
It's not even on sale. I just need to throw money at Steam right now.
I just need to do that Steam thing, you know? You guys got any of that Steam? You got any of that Steam?
Anything you want to add about Dragon Quest 3 or just
Nah, just
Dragon
again.
Quest?
Oh, it looks beautiful.
It's great to see that, instead of trying to remake everything like Square's been doing with Final Fantasy 7 and apparently 9, whenever it's been a thing for like 3 years, it's been rumored. We still haven't seen that goddamn trailer for it, but at least now people are realizing, oh, we can just do a much smaller budget and make what's still pretty gorgeous looking game that plays really, really well. What a novel concept. Let's not spend like $50+ million on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So excited for that. It looks gorgeous.
And then, for me at least, closing off the year, and I think this is pretty much the last big game of the
there's
season,
like nothing in December at this point
No.
either, so.
which I feel like this game always sits on this time, is November 15th, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like, I feel like the second week of November is like Assassin's Creed week. Like,
Oh yeah, they've got the
always is.
same week.
you
It's
know,
always
you know when
November.
Shark Week's in, you know what week Shark Week is, and you always know which week Assassin's Creed is.
You know what? I'm gonna go see with all the release dates and let's see how many actually fall into November.
I would say within a week, give or take, they all fall in this time period. Like November, I'd say like
Yeah.
November
Like
teens.
Valhalla was right after PlayStation and Xbox came out, like the new ones, which
All
was
right.
November.
So the first game, November. Second game. Yeah, I like it when I can hover over it and they generally say it at the top, but it doesn't right away. Second game, November. Brotherhood, November.
What days in November though?
It doesn't. They're all in the middle, basically. So yeah, the first one, 13th. Second one, 17th. Brotherhood, 16th. Revelations, 15th. Assassin's Creed 3. Oh, October 30th. Whoa, early one.
God.
Black Flag, October 29th. Okay, we're getting a different trend now. Rogue, November 11th. Back to things again. Unity, November 11th. Syndicate, October 23rd. So it seems like it's mid-November or late October so far. Origins, October 27th. Odyssey, October 5th. Oh my god, that's too early. What happened? Valhalla, November 10th, back in the middle. Mirage, October 5th. So it seems like it's basically between the beginning of October and mid-November and no later than that. The latest game was November 16th. So they're basically like, look, if we can't get this out the door in November, by mid-November, book it to next year.
Yeah.
I'm just of the mind
Or
that
in
if
their
you
case,
ever-
rush it out the door anyway.
If they ever said to me, Kaylan, you have to tell me what, like, I can tell you when the next Assassin's Creed game is going to come out. And it's going to be sometime between November 10th and November 20th. Like, that's, if I had to bet, that's where I'm putting my money.
It's probably just whichever, like they always release on a Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
Like it's probably just whatever that day is that week.
Honestly, and those October ones, those are just leap years. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So
They got confused.
you want to know what's even funnier?
Yeah.
all 3 Chronicle games. I'm just checking.
Like the Assassin's Creed Chronicle games?
Yeah, the side scrollers.
Yeah.
Okay, why is my backspace button suddenly not working for back? That's just a pain in the ass. They all released on the same date too. So apparently they just have a vibe. Like the Chronicle games are all January, and then obviously all the mainstay games. So it's like apparently
that's weird.
Apparently you just assume if an Assassin's Creed game is getting announced for 2025, you know roughly the 6-week window it's gonna land.
Yeah.
Holiday season. That's what they're aiming for sure.
I can count probably how many times I've gotten an Assassin's Creed game for Christmas. It's a staple.
Oh yeah.
So I guess if we look at this entire list, like what do we actually think on this list is a nominee contender? Because there's a few there that have a shot, but like what, like if you actually had like gun to the head, like if you have to split half of it, if there are 3 games that are going to come out that we just listed, which ones do you think will hit Game of the Year?
Ooh, 3.
So if we assume it's 3 from the first half, 3 from the second, it obviously could not be like that. You never know how it's going to go. But if you had to pick 3 that are on the docket, I already know you're picking Outlaws for one of them. So let's just get that out of the way. Just talk about it. Just get it over with.
So like I think Outlaws has a shot. So like for me, I think the easy ones are Astrobot, Legend of Zelda, and then I think it's either going to be I want it to be Star Wars Outlaws. But I could see some like hipster crowd going for Life is Strange double exposure.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought about the Life is Strange one.
Because I feel like that
True
always gets like a
Colors?
weird nod for like Game of the Year and
I
stuff.
wouldn't go that far on this one though.
Okay, then I'm gonna go Star Wars Outlaws.
Also,
Although
I
Black Myth
realized the
Wukong
problem
is
with my backspace. My keyboard is just completely shut down now. I can't even type. So that's
Oh
great.
no.
It's a good thing I can use my mouse for recording. We're fine. Everything's still
Okay.
cool.
So yeah, for me it's the third place is either gonna go to Black Myth Wukong, which once again FromSoft also gets a lot of nods. And I know it's not a
Yeah.
FromSoft game, but that kind of game. And Star Wars Outlaws.
Like,
And I want to give it to Star Wars Outlaws.
If I had to really put the gun to my head, it's Astrobot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Just because like they usually put some sort of horror-esque game in there. Like I think. See I don't think I don't get good vibes from the Silent Hill 2 remake, so I think Slitterhead might actually have a good chance. And if I had to pick a third, I really don't like. Just because I guess Nintendo just hasn't done anything. Maybe Zelda would get the nod just because Nintendo always gets representation. But like, I don't know. Like, I have some really good vibes going with Stalker 2 that it might just be a real like interesting dark horse.
It could.
But I could also be jumping on a live grenade like Kaylan did with Atomic Heart for all I know.
Someone had to.
I think
That's
for
never,
me,
that's never going to get let down in this podcast.
no, it's never, ever.
So I was trying to search as like what the best games on Switch this year so far have been.
Your keyboard doesn't work, I thought.
I know, that's why I have a phone now.
Oh,
That's how desperate I am.
I thought you were still typing. Like, oh no, he doesn't know. He's gonna look up. Well, while you're doing that, I think for me it's Astrobot, Zelda, and then I'm gonna throw the third one to Black Ops, just because I feel like the hype might be big enough that it lands a nomination. Yeah, but definitely Zelda and Astrobot is my other two.
Interesting.
Yeah, those are the three I think I'd throw it at. It's tough though because like I want to give it to Star Wars for sure. Yeah, it's tough. I
think it's like Star Wars, Black Myth, or I think Adam makes a good point. Stalker 2 could also be another.
Yeah.
Another
yeah. The FromSoft style game.
Yeah.
Oh, they always seem to make it in there too. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because this year it's not like there's so many amazing games that it's hard to pick, but there's still enough where it's like it's kind of like we know the top ones that'll be in there, but what are the last 2 or 3 going to be? You know, everybody's kind of fighting for that place. That's the tough part this year.
It's definitely a year too where, like, I mean, granted, we thought this last year when all of a sudden there was just a fucking flood of really good games that came out.
Right.
But like, as it stands right now, and there's obviously still time that more games could get announced and dated. We don't know.
Indiana Jones is slated to be released. We'll see if it does.
And not to mention, there's going to be a bunch of games that come out of nowhere that we just don't even think about that end up being just masterpieces. Like Balatro is.
Yeah.
Who would have thought a poker roguelite would have been like one of the most talked about games this year? Same with Helldivers 2. I don't think people thought it was going to be remotely what it was. So
I think Helldivers has I think Helldivers is the front
Yes.
runner.
it is the front runner,
game
and
of the
I
year.
will not hear an argument about anything else at this point. If I'm being completely honest,
Yeah.
and that's not
like,
even biased. Like I legitimately don't know a game that is done a better job of what it's
Oh,
built.
100%.
The only thing that it could be in its detriment is like how far back it is, right? Like there is
So
something
early
to
in
be
the
said for
year,
recency
yeah.
bias, right? So
Yeah.
it's not
And-
the cool, hot, sexy new thing. It's the old thing that we have.
And if these games that are releasing in 2024 or slated for 2024 without a date, remember, we could end up with Metal Gear Solid Delta, Indiana Jones, and I don't know about Avowed. That could go either way, but that could also be a big popular game once it releases, especially since it'll be on Game Pass.
Like at this point, if we're being really honest, like the likely three, if there were going to be 3 games from the first half that are going to be put in that nomination spot, Helldivers 2 is going to be one of them. Rebirth will be the second one. And if I was a betting man right now, I'd say like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, but I think that's like Bellatra also has a chance too if they want to have room for an indie game.
I think Bellatra is on that list, and I think also the Prince of Persia Lost Crown is.
I
also getting
don't believe for a second that even has a remote chance to be in a nominee.
pretty good roguelite.
It
There's a
is,
pretty good,
but like
Metroidvania.
I don't think that it's remotely enough because there just isn't that buzz, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
But
and if
speaking of-
they look how many Ubisoft games they're going to be putting in there, and they're like, well, we can't do 3.
Well, to be fair,
Well, I
they
don't think
won't even
that's
have to
good.
do one because they're all going to be bad.
You are so jealous of Star
We're-
Wars
you know what?
Outlaws.
Don't even acknowledge him. Don't even acknowledge him. We're gonna shut it down right now. Thank you so much for watching the PixelPlay Podcast. If you like that and you want to see more, we post every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube.com. If you want more content, we're gonna be posting another video Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're gonna be talking this week about the Xbox Game Pass prices going up, talking our thoughts about that. And if you want more, Adam does something on Mondays sometimes. I don't know. We're figuring it out right now, but I'm one of your co-hosts, Kaylan, I'm Kaylan. That's Adam. That's Chris. We're done. Bye, guys.